All right, welcome back to a Story Saturday. We are again reading Mystery of a Moss Covered Mansion by Carolyn King, and we are going to be reading chapter 11. If you remember last time, there was a fire that happened in the orange grove. They were able to stop the fire, but a lot of damage has been made. So let's see what happens next in chapter 11. Off the mark. The partially burned newspaper which Nancy showed to Beth and George was a copy of the edition which held the name Drew and the code message. "It's ringed with red crayon," Beth burst out. Sorry. "What does that mean?" Gus made a guess. Gus made a guess. George made a guess. "I think the person who set the fire is a member of some gang out to ruin Mr. Billington's reputation and business. He's worried because Mr. Drew and Nancy have been brought in to solve the mystery. Remember that there have been newspaper articles with secret codes." Nancy agreed. "We have very few clues," she said, "and everything seems to be so disconnected. What we must do is find a motive for the whole thing." Beth suddenly caught her breath. The other girls looked at her and asked, "What's the matter?" Bess's reply was upsetting. "Suppose that firebug takes it into his head to burn down the house we're staying in." There was silence for a few moments. Finally Nancy said, "Perhaps we'd better go back and talk this over with Hannah." When they reached the house, Tina and Anton were with Miss Groom. Hannah became alarmed at the thought of another fire. "I wish we had a good watchdog here," she said. Tina was fearful of the house being set on fire, but Anton shrugged off the idea. "What reason would anyone have for doing such a thing?" he asked Nancy. She replied, "What reason would anyone have for burning down the packing house and setting fires in the grove?" Like, just saying. You tell me. Writing down something. Anyway. As she spoke, Nancy watched the caretaker's face intently. Like, "I'ma get some hints from you, maybe?" He showed no change of expression. Nancy thought, "He certainly is a strange person." Aloud she asked, "What do you think is going to happen to Mr. Billington's orange business?" Anson set his jaw. "That's up to Mr. Billington. I know what I'd do if it belonged to me. Forget the whole thing. But of course, I'll follow whatever order he gives me." The foreman stalked from the house. As it neared time for the girls to leave for the Melbourne airport to pick up Mr. Drew, Hannah confessed that she felt uneasy about staying alone. The Rosado had already left, saying they were going to Ruth's birthday party. When George suggested that she come with the girls, Mrs. Groom said, "I don't think I should go along and leave this house unprotected." "You're absolutely right," said Bess. "Nancy, I'll stay here with you," said Bess, taking one for the team. So Nancy and George set off. On the way, George remarked, "Don't you think after what happened here today, Anton and Tina would have stayed home and waited for the Billingtons? They didn't even offer to pick them up at the airport." Back at the Billington house, Hannah and Bess were startled by loud knocking on the front door. Hannah went to answer it. "Don't let anybody in," Bess called out. Hannah asked, "Who's calling? Mr. Scarlet?" Or Mr. Scarlet. Mrs. Groom opened the door and a man stepped inside. "Where's Nancy Drew?" he asked abruptly. "She's not here." "Where did she go?" Beth started to tell him, but Hannah gave the girl a warning look and answered for her, like, "Good thing they be driving, because I know, like, there's been times when I've looked at my siblings and I'm, like, trying to, like, communicate and they don't get it." Nancy had gone on an errand. "Do you have a message for her?" Mr. Scarlet said indeed he did, a very important one. "Mr. Webster has taken his home off the market. It's no longer for sale. I must have the key to the house at once. Get it for me." Hannah said she had no idea where it was. He would have to wait until Nancy returned. "I can't wait," the realtor snapped. "I must have the key now." He turned to Beth. She probably told you where it is. Bring it to me. I don't know, the girl replied firmly. When Nancy returns, I'll tell her you want the key. She can bring it to you in the morning. Mr. Scarlet seemed nonplussed as well as angry. I'll have to look up some next time. Before he had a chance to make any further demands, Hannah said to him, That's all. Good night, Mr. Scarlet. She had the door for him and reluctantly he went out. Immediately Beth said, Nancy's going to be dreadfully disappointed about the Webster house being taken. I wonder what the reason was. I got it from Mrs. Nickerson that Mr. Webster was eager to sell the place. As they continued to discuss the strange turn of events, Nancy and George were